good evening, beautiful people. It is time to watch them damn thrones. What's happening, y'all? What's good? Hey, another satisfying episode of Watch Them Thrones. Tonight, I'm your guest host, CJ, aka C Smoke, and I got some beautiful people in the building with me tonight. Of course, we got Valerian, the light skinned dread in the building. Carlton.
What up, though?
What's happening, man? And we got two beautiful sisters in the house with us tonight. The Warrior Queen back again. Shout out to the Warrior Queen. Can you? Boom.
Hello, hello, hello.
And we got F the
Hooray,
Patriarchy.
I love
Natalia,
it. I
what's
love
going
it.
on? What's going on?
Hello, guys.
We
Hi.
got you in the building. It's so good to have you here. We had you in the comments for so long, but we got you in the building tonight. Yo,
Harassed you guys enough.
Yo, so before we get into things, you know what I mean. Before we do a little bit, obviously we want to shout out our host with the most, Tyrus, who is, what I mean, taking a well-deserved vacation this weekend. You know what I mean. So we gonna hold it down for him while we gonna hold it down like POP while he gone. And so, before we get into things, I just want to kind of pick y'all's brain and get a sense of how y'all felt about episode 4. And we're gonna start with you, F the Patriarchy. Talk to me.
That's exactly my title right now is F the Patriarchy. Because I mean, if she was born a man, all the stuff that she did would not be an issue.
Facts.
So that's how I'm feeling today.
That is absolutely true. We have seen kings throughout the 7 kingdoms for centuries sow their royal oats. And so in that regard, I definitely think this would have been, small thing to a giant if it was a man doing the same. And so Warrior Queen, tell me your thoughts on episode 4. Just,
That damn Damon.
Yes.
That motherfucker. What other word is there for him tonight? Because he slid in.
Yes.
He act like he was, I brought the stepstones to you.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
And then he started all the shit. And then just sit back and said, let me watch it blow up. And it blew all the way up like a nuclear bomb.
Yeah. Diabolical than a motherfucker. That's what I would like to say. Diabolical Damon. Day.
Restless and chaotic. Remember, restless and chaotic.
And Carlton, let me know just a sense of what you were feeling as you were watching this episode.
As usual, I loved it. I'm always biased because I'm a big geek of all of this, but I mean, it's just more political lines, not necessarily being drawn, but like now you just see a motherfucker just blatantly stepping across the political lines, like fuck your line. Like my girl here, F the Patriarchy. So like it's a literal sense, and then a lot of metaphors for it too, So I think we saw a lot this episode, even though a lot of people might say it's a little bit slower.
Yeah, indeed. And I'm looking at some of the comments now. Celestial last week, Celestial was on the episode last week. She chilling this week. She just said "Lord" with 17,000 exclamation points on it. LAWD, Lord. And yeah, that's a pretty good, accurate response. Tyrus said, "I needed it." I needed it.
He ain't supposed to be on that phone. Don't get
right.
He gonna be in trouble.
He said he needed his vacation, y'all. So we glad you got there, Tyrus.
Enjoy your time, big bro.
Camille Guy said he's so messy. Yes,
Very.
Damon is messy as fuck, but he's also
Calculated.
really calculated, man.
Calculated.
I mean, I didn't see this coming. Like, obviously, we knew from the previews that there was going to be some type of conflict happening, but I saw Rhaenyra opening back up again, which I was, finding joy in. I was liking to see her kind of finding her groove back.
Yeah.
This episode again gave us more clever Rhaenyra clapbacks, more thoughtful things to consider of the dynamics of being a woman trying to sit on the throne versus what it's meant for men to sit on the throne, and how patriarchy plays a significant role in all of it. And yeah, the thing that I've really enjoyed about it is that, in spite of the fact that there was literally no battles, other than, if you want to call that, small little scene, that little tiff as the men were attempting to get Rhaenyra's hand a battle, there was still action from beginning to end. And so we're gonna get into that action in just a minute. Before we do, we're gonna play a little game known as Know Them Thrones. I'm gonna throw these 3 questions up on the screen. Hey, if y'all see them, guests, feel free to shout out the answers when you see them. Don't wait, don't hesitate. I'm gonna hit it right now.
Them Thrones.
What was the name of the bar Ray Ray had on repeat? Samuel the Lioness.
Samuel.
True. What did Viserys tell Ray Ray who wasn't above? Tradition and duty. B, tradition and history. C, whipping your ass for talking crazy to me in public.
I want to say C, but I'm going to go with A.
Yeah, but his ass.
That's correct, tradition and duty. How many ships did Viserys send to help Daemon? A, 12, B, 8, or C, 10?
Know Them Thrones.
I love how
No.
we still got TK voice as a part of the show.
Right. You know what I mean? TK is still in the building.
You still
So-
with us, my brother.
His spirit.
Did y'all get that last one? The last one
I think it
was
10.
10.
yes.
Was it
10
10?
is the correct
10 ships,
answer.
2,000
Yeah.
men.
Right. And so yeah, Samuel was the name of the song, right? Obviously, like a lot of us probably knew that and probably caught it immediately because of Samuel Tarly, right?
Of course.
You know, that's the homie. He held it down. And
Yeah.
and the second answer was, of course, tradition and duty. Not tradition and history, and not
Not whooping that ass.
not whooping that ass.
Are we
even
sure
though
it's not
even
whooping that ass?
yeah, even though he cut up a little bit at the party. So
Yeah, he raised his voice up. He raised up.
but yeah, let's get into it tonight. Look, this episode was an exciting episode for a number of different reasons. I think it's because we're seeing the characters that we were introduced to as children, or at least teens, grow up and entering adult type of situations.
Yep.
Definitely.
And we're seeing the return of Daemon to the kingdom. And so I think we'll just set the stage there and get into it tonight. And Carlton, I kind of want you to lead us off with where we want to go with this one.
I think from what I gathered, it looked like they kind of sped us up about another year. Just kind of from some of the conversations that we heard. They started us out with Rhaenyra's tour, which was kind of funny to me because this girl already don't want to get married, and her daddy got her on a full-blown tour, meeting all these niggas she don't want to fuck with. And to me, that was just hilarious. So they really just kind of gave us a glimpse at that. And, you know, she goes home, and then we see Daemon with the flyover. That was completely intentional with the dragon. Like that, he's calculated. And, you know, we see that brief reconciliation with Viserys and Daemon, which I kind of, from the previews from last week, I thought that was coming when you see Daemon walk in with that hammer. I kind of thought something along those lines was coming. But again, everything Daemon did this episode was completely calculated. Nothing was by mistake.
That's facts.
Them comments, man.
And
I'm trying to be serious, and then the comments rolling through.
that's right. The comments killing me, man. Look, she said Ray definitely opened up and got to ride more than a dragon. I swear, what's so cold is I thought the same shit tonight, and then I felt bad about
I
it.
put that in my notes. Like literally in my notes, I put that.
I did too. I said she rode more than a dragon tonight.
Yeah, she
I
was
said,
getting some
damn.
dick tonight. It didn't matter what. She just was gonna get it.
We gotta get Kendra Brown on this thing.
Right. Kendra, you gonna definitely have to pull up. Hey, she definitely rode more than the dragon tonight. She caught that D. She rode the other D.
She sold her
I'm
rail.
mad. Yeah, I'm mad at Damon because he took her. He took her. I'm gonna say he took her on a titillating field trip to Flea Bottom. So they went to the gutter.
Uh-huh.
He got the motor running. He got the kitty purring, and then he just walked off. And she's like, "What the hell happened?" So she just rolled back to the castle.
That's right.
And but the dragon still needed to be fed, and it got fed Sir Crispin
fire
Cole.
was burning.
She got that fire.
That fire was burning, Warrior.
I like that. When you say the dragon need to be fed.
The dragon need to be fed.
Okay, I like that. I like that. So the dragon needed to be fed. Tell us what you were thinking from the beginning of the episode, F the patriarchy.
So I think at the very first scene, you got a recap of him giving her that necklace. And I knew at that point something was gonna pop off because I remember watching that first episode, like, where's the incest? Like the Targaryens are all about the incest. Not that I'm looking for it, but like, let's be real. And so when that scene happened, it was like I was like yelling at my thing, like, damn, I just knew it. Like,
Right. Like
at the same time, I was like, he left her with, a blue clam, and I'm like, and it was just one of those situations where,
look,
like,
I'm writing this shit down.
Yeah, I think, you guys are saying he's calculated. I don't think he's calculating. I think honestly, he doesn't know what he wants. Like,
Really?
he does things out of impulse.
I believe that too.
But when he, caught that look at her eye or whatever, and he stopped it, he knew what he was doing was wrong. So
okay, so you think Damon had a little bit of a conscience, a little bit? Okay, that's definitely a
lover. Yeah.
Because I thought he was gonna give it to her up against the wall. I ain't gonna lie to you. I thought he was gonna, you know what I mean? Like,
I feel like he knows what he's doing. So, like, he set all that up. He put the note in the bag. He gave her the fake clothes. Mm-hmm. He led her to the secret path, and he was sitting there waiting for it. So, like, he knew he was gonna take her on that little midnight rendezvous. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking all of that was simply because he knew, if nothing else, I don't think he knew necessarily she was gonna go back and smash the homie. Yeah. But I think he knew there would be seen and spotted out, and there would be talk from that. I wrote a little. That talk would give him the opportunity to put some shit in Viserys' head.
I wrote a little something about that too. That we'll get into in just a second. So you knew it was gonna be some shit a little bit from the beginning of the episode, because Damon really, you see her rubbing the necklace that Damon gave her from the beginning of the episode. Mm-hmm. And Game of Thrones is very intentional. They let you know early on, like, yo, it's about to be some shit. So just get ready for it. And also lets you know that there perhaps is an affinity for it that maybe we've forgotten about in the last couple of episodes, as far as over the last few years, because we know the episodes equal a few years. So, but there's clearly still a connection. She's wearing the necklace and she's rubbing it as these suitors approach, all contending for her hand. Mm-hmm. None of which she's interested in. When she asked Dondarrion, was my great grandmother as beautiful as they say she was?
Man, listen, man. I mean, she got that fire for days, man.
That shit was hilarious, man. When she asked him that, I was on the floor because I'm like, she comes up with one every week. Like she bring heats every week. So I enjoyed that.
In that scene, I gotta throw some respect to Lil Man that was trying to, that was trying to, catch that flow, and whoever was on the side and was jaw jacking, he got sliced up. He got sliced up by Lil Dude. So much respect.
Look, Kiana Map said that little boy ran him through. He said, talk shit, get hit.
Man,
Hey, for real.
talk shit, get slit.
Right. I'm talking about jugged his ass. I mean, look, little man wasn't playing. He was like, I'm down to ride for it.
He
You know what I
pulled his
mean?
burnout quick too.
He
Right.
pulled the big sword, and dude pulled the little dagger. He was like, "No,
Right.
this is a big sword fight. So
Man.
let's add this."
He was ready to clear the set just like that. He was ready to clear the set. So Damon makes this big. Well, okay. Obviously, we know by this point Damon can't do shit regular. So he doing it real big. He flies over on correct seas. There's a flyover as they're returning to the kingdom in the ship, and damn near flips the ship over. Like, you know what I mean? Damn near throw Rhaenyra out the damn boat. So she see correct seas, so she knows that means Damon has returned. And obviously we have the moment where Damon walks into the kingdom as the king is sitting on the throne.
That shit was gangster.
Say what? Yeah, it was gangster. Tell us, take us through that. Take us through the significance of that, Carlton.
I just like him. I just like how, just audacious as he is, Damon continues to be Damon. Again, it's probably about a year or so since the last episode we saw when he conquered the Stepstones. So he come in with his crown, haircut, he all slick to the back.
Doctor Who haircut.
You're right, and then he just walk up on dude with the sword, put the sword on his chest, and he like, what's really good? Here, add this to the pile. So that was his little Damon way of kind of, paying homage and basically saying, look, this is what I delivered to you. I know you sent your little note or whatever, but I took care of that. That's just Damon being Damon, but that's also him kind of planting his little seeds, you know what I'm saying? So I believe the reconciliation was real, between him and Viserys. There is still that love and that respect, but Damon wants the throne, but again, I've said it before, not at the expense of Viserys. He's not willing to dispatch of Viserys to get the throne, but make no mistake, Damon wants that motherfucking throne. So, he comes back, and at this point, Alicent has had that second child, so now he's that much further down the line of succession. So he starts his Damon plots.
Nikki Norwood says, did anyone else notice that Damon's body is slimmed up in this episode and that Flock of Seagulls haircut? hey, look, he found his motherfucking swagger. He found his swagger down there. You know what I mean?
I don't know if he was slimmer, just less armor.
Right. You know what I mean? Like he got the Crab King. You know what I mean? He got that monkey off his back. That's really what that was.
He gotta be slim the way he ran that 4-3 down.
Right. He was doing cardio that day.
I'm fast as shit, boy.
T.L. Thompson said this tour was like the B2K Millennium Tour. Messy. Y'all be tripped out in the comments, man.
Week, dog. Y'all be tripped with that heat in the comments.
Yes, indeed. So,
oh my gosh.
So I think, obviously when Damon pulls up to the set, he goes through the process of bending the knee, right? So he's going through the process of bending the knee, and he makes this big to-do out of it. Natalia, take me through what you were feeling in those moments, how you perceive Damon approaching the Iron Throne and approaching the King in that moment, and what that meant to you.
So I felt the hesitation in the room. Like, you don't know if he was coming there with some heat or he was coming there to reconcile or just to show off, because at this point he got that street cred, and he did all of that without the extra men and stuff like that. So for me, it was more of, he did want to kind of reconcile with his brother, but because I think at the end of things, he just wanted some legitimacy. He wanted to be taken seriously. And so I think that was kind of that step to do that. So that's exactly what I kind of saw. But I don't know if you guys like peeped Otto at the back.
Right.
Otto was in the back, man, side eye doing.
Yes.
Indeed.
Otto
Look,
always in the back like
listen. Otto always got that look on his face, man. He always looked like he up to some shit. But tonight, we will get into
we
it.
gonna get to Otto, bitch ass.
You're right. Tonight, his ass got what was coming.
Man.
So Warrior Queen, tell me,
Yes.
in that moment, in the interaction with Damon, were there some things that you picked up on? Were there certain things that you felt like, okay, we're gonna have to come back to this by the end of the show?
Yeah. So of course, Rhaenyra, glad to see her uncle. She, getting a little happy. She started out in the back of the room, and when he was rolling up the middle of the room, she's rolling up on the side. So they were like walking up together. Did y'all notice that? You know what I'm talking about?
Tell me about it. What happened now?
When Damon came in the room and he's coming down the middle with all the people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Step to the side.
Walking off to the side.
Rhaenyra was walking through the crowd.
I did see that.
Yeah.
Parallel to him. I was like, okay. So
I just think that's her little, like, from jump. I believe there's been an infatuation with Rhaenyra with her uncle.
Oh yeah.
So like.
Definitely.
Damon is playing on that, so I think that's exactly why you see that parallel with them walking almost side by side, because they're trying to visually show that parallel between the two.
I don't think she believed his homage to her father. She didn't believe it. She was like, "Oh, he just trying to get back in."
Right. Thanks. They're the type to see through all of that shit.
T.L. Thompson said, "My bad." We read this comment real quick. T.L. Thompson said, 173 years before Daenerys, 373 years before the Rose. So she was like, I got to get mine. Somebody, hey, look, somebody finna finish this off for me tonight.
There will be some deflowering.
Right. Listen. Somebody fix the, you know what I mean? So
okay. So anyway, continuing on through that scene, once Viserys and Daemon had come back together as brothers, and they were walking out of the throne room. Then we go out in the garden, and the four of them, Alicent, Rhaenyra, Daemon, and Viserys, are standing there, supposedly chatting. Viserys tanking it down.
Mm-hmm.
Woo! And says something a little rude to Rhaenyra. She's like, okay, I'm gonna go over here. And then Alicent went over there where Rhaenyra was, and there was a little more fingering and lingering, like we talked about last week. I'm like, okay. So we still have some connection. So they ain't broke up.
yes.
Or maybe there has been some reconciliation. They're starting to understand each other's place in the male patriarchy.
I think it's a little bit more of the latter. I think it's what you just said. Like, they kind of, from what I saw, it looked like they was just starting to like kind of reconcile and understand each other. But you definitely right. Like, there was some tension between Viserys and Rhaenyra. Like, he wasn't trying to hear none of that shit. He was still salty though about that tour being canceled. So he wanted to hear that shit. But we also see that in that conversation with Rhaenyra and Alicent, that Rhaenyra is fearful. Like, she has fears of what happened to her mother happened to her. So I think that was big in that conversation.
Definitely. So in that moment, like, we, going back to like Daemon returning with a crown on his head into the, walking in the room in front of people and things like that. And then taking the crown off and saying, oh, well, this is what I received for the victory. I became named the King of the Narrow Sea. But I'm handing the stepstones to you in your honor. And then he bends the knee, right? So all of this pageantry is taking place. And, to be honest with you, the last time we saw Daemon bend the knee, it was right before he stabbed someone in the stomach. You know what I mean? So to me, right, I'm seeing that as symbolism and saying, wait a minute, like, Daemon is on some of that Daemon shit right now. Like, we at this point in time, we've never seen Daemon concede acquiesce, do any of that. And I damn sure don't believe he fixing to start today after he
He did
went full
with
time.
Rhaenyra, so
Yeah. Now with Rhaenyra, he's definitely different with Rhaenyra than he is with anybody else. But I think he's more determined to have his way than anything else, so that anything that's standing within his way, he'll do whatever it takes to get there. Um, so when they get to the garden, um, as y'all have alluded to, Rhaenyra and Alicent begin to have a conversation, um, highlighting how lonely both of them have begun to feel. Alicent kind of confesses to Rhaenyra that she doesn't feel like she's had any friends since becoming the queen, and Rhaenyra confesses to Alicent that she misses her. And I think I definitely have started to try to look differently at that relationship because of some of the things that the audience and that the group has pointed out. And I think I did, see a little bit more of a deeper relationship there than the initial friendship of two young women in the kingdom that I thought I initially saw. And we can get into later the later conversation that they had towards the end after the rumors arise that really kind of brought it out even more, as far as the fingering and lingering and there being perhaps at the very least some type of attraction or feelings that are distinguishable from the feelings that they may have as just friends or whatever that might be.
Yeah.
I think they are very much a comfort to each, or at the beginning were a comfort to each other. Two young highborn ladies. They can't talk to just anybody, but they can talk to each other. And then that got busted up by her daddy picking Alicent as his bride and mother of his next line. And so, and Rhaenyra going through all her hurt feelings, in the second and especially last week, being extra snarky, extra bitchy, if you want to say it like that. But every right to, because that Alicent, it to a point, snaked her daddy, like I said. But now we're coming to now we're coming to a new place and a new understanding, because now Viserys is trying to marry off Rhaenyra, and Alicent, as a dutiful wife, she's trying to hip her to the game. This is what we do. This is where we are. I'm glad to be the queen, but it's hard. I can't trust everybody. I need my friend. So there is a comfort in them coming back together in that way.
Right. And Kiana Map says she called motherhood a death sentence.
Did
Tiffany
you see
Clayton.
Allison's face when Rhaenyra said that? Did y'all catch Allison's face? Like, she almost went ghost on it. Like, you can tell that one struck a chord.
Right. Tiffany Clayton said Ray is right to feel fear over not wanting to be like her mother and breeding just to die. I think Daemon preyed on her fear, maybe even thought he could save her. Okay. And Natalia, I'm gonna let you jump in there to kind of get into what you were peeping there.
Yeah, I would say at first I was like, who is this bitch to try to mother me?
Indeed.
I'm just sitting there like, all right, she's giving me this advice. But yeah, you're right in the sense of, we are women stuck in our duty of what we need to do. But I also have to say that, like, for Alicent, she doesn't seem to be a natural mother. Like, you see, like, she's having restless nights with the baby. Like, you don't really see her with the children. Like, where are the children? They're just, not around. And I don't know. There's just something like, there's something
That's a big call out.
I feel like she's going to jump off a tower at some point.
Ooh, that's a big call out.
Yeah.
You're right. You never see her with the kids, and like you said, that one shot we do see, which what I'm assuming is the second child, just restless, crying the whole night. You can tell she just don't even know how to comfort the baby. That's a huge call out.
Yeah. I mean, well, to be honest with you, and we can definitely get into this in a moment. I kind of want to get into the conversation between Damon and Rhaenyra in the garden before we do, but it's clear that many of the duties that come with being a mother and being a wife, duties, in the sense, look and appear to be just that. You know what I mean? Like it's a robotic thing. It's not. This is a loveless relationship. While there may be tender moments that are shared in the form of, "Hey, Viserys, you sick? I'll wash your back for you." In the bathtub, it's very, very clear that it's distinguishable from the relationship that he had with Emma. And I think he knows that. Well, I don't know if he knows that, and we'll definitely talk about that. We'll definitely talk about Viserys doing his business. Like, listen, that was very, it was very much giving Mr. in the Color Purple to me. So he was doing his business. How he died on top of me.
He died on top.
Oh, I'm glad I wasn't drinking then, because I would have choked.
It was definitely, it definitely, you know.
Oh, you hurt me with that one, CJ.
Right. She wasn't producing babies because of enjoyment. It certainly didn't appear that way. So
strictly duty.
But I like the juxtaposition of like her and not feeling that sexual sensation and just doing the duty and just taking it, versus Rhaenyra, where she's like opening up and living her special life. Yeah.
Right. And that's and like Damon says that in the episode. He's like, look, marriage is political, right? Yeah. He was like, marriage is a political decision that's made. But we can fuck whoever we want, when we want. You know what I mean? Essentially,
you're a man.
He's teaching her a part of being a queen or the royal. He's teaching her a part about power that perhaps nobody else is going to say to her or teach her about the way in which power is wielded by the ruler of the Iron Throne, essentially. If they so choose. And I think she took that lesson very, very literally with Christian Cole. And fuck it, let's just get into it, because like we don't need to avoid it. We can, any other shit we can run back to, we can go back to the conversation, but we here now. Very much like in that dynamic, you see Christian Cole kind of being like, you know, like, what the fuck is going on? You know?
Right.
But at the same time, you know, he really can't. I mean, like, one, he's attracted to her, so it's not like it was something he was unwilling to do. But in the sense that she is also my queen.
A power imbalance.
Right? Like, or she's also the princess.
You see him when she's taking off the armor and shit, you see him take the white cloak from her, and like he has that long look at it. But you know, that again, that's Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon. They do everything intentionally. That white cloak, that's the honor. So you know, he's looking at that, thinking to himself, like, man, am I really about to betray my honor? Fuck it.
Right. You like, look, fuck it. I'm fixing to ride this dragon and get rolled by it.
Right.
So, I mean it, and I do think that essentially there were two things that were happening there. I think that one, that was something that Rhaenyra did because she wanted to do it. Well, maybe three things. She had the power to do what she wanted, and she did it. But also, she did it out of spite, in the sense that this is the man who actually defeated Daemon. And right now, Daemon has pissed me off. So if I am going to follow through with this, I might as well do it with the man who bested him. And so,
you know, there's nothing like a revenge fuck.
Hey, say that one more time. I wish I could.
There's nothing like a revenge fuck. And I'm gonna plead the fifth after that. Y'all making me cut up tonight.
Listen, I mean, but it's true. I mean, this was a
I'm not
sexy
being very
episode.
queenly.
You know, in the sense that it was, you know, it was sexy in the sense that this episode was much more about the mental play, than the, you know,
it was very much a chess game.
Like even
Right.
Damon taking her down through those back alleys and then allowing her to see that play. Like he knew what she was about to see and hear in that play, and he knew the reaction she would have to seeing and hearing that. So like all his moves were calculated all the way down to that point. Then he take her, you know, get some drinks, get her drunk, take her down through the pleasure house, let her see some shit. Like he just stoking the flames, you know, the whole time he just stoking the flames until she was burning. That little dragon was burning.
Right. I mean, yeah, Damon got her hot and bothered in the sense that he was like, look, but you also like, nobody can ever really underestimate like any time that the queen or the princess is outside of the doors of the kingdom, she's in danger at any moment. If someone recognizes her, like, and so there's a thrill in that too, right? The thrill of sneaking, right? The thrill of getting caught, the thrill of doing what you want wherever you want in front of, like, there's, you know, it's a lot of, he seduced her, you know, and like she's young and at this point she's not been with any man, and so to essentially got to kind of be swept up in this whirlwind, the whirlwind that is Damon, on top of literally witnessing an orgy taking place, and basically being brought into an environment in which you've never been a part of. Also, while you on that drink, you know, that you on that Casamigos, you know.
It's that Dornish wine, like that dude from the very first scene. Whatever that wine is, I want some.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Can we get some of the Dornish wine? Put that shit, you know, put that shit on. But as you see all of this taking place, like, it's literally like, how at that point could she have resisted? Because she's feeling feelings, her, like, literally feeling feelings in her body she's never felt before.
And she's like, what is this? What am I looking at? What is going on here? What is that? How do you put that there? Can you really bend it that way? Yeah. It was, she was trying to take in all of this, for lack of a better word, stimulation, and becoming quickly overstimulated. And so then they went through their little kissing episode, and then her clothes got loosened up. And she was ready. She was ready.
Right.
He turned on. He stoked that fire.
That's right. The audacity of Damon to pull them things to the side, because that's what he did. He pulled them things to the side. And you, hey, look.
I drink to that.
Listen, you pull them things to the side, it's on. Look, so that's what happened there.
Damon wasn't bullshitting, yet he was bullshitting at the same time.
Right. He was definitely bullshitting. He knew what he was doing. I would say he left her high and dry, but she was anything but that at that point. Right. So you know what I mean?
But you notice that he like did the symbolism of, like, once you come into the den, he took her hat off and like let her present as herself. Yeah. And like it was the whole of like, you could be whatever you want in here. Yeah. But again, he's not thinking all the way about those spies or the, you know, the consequences for that. But at the end, when she's with Christian, it reminded me so much of Daenerys and Drago, where, like, you know, she was getting bent over for, like, you know, for a hot minute. And then at some point, she took her power and started riding him. Mm-hmm. And that was exactly what the Daenerys was doing at the end.
Yeah.
Period. Like, yeah, it was absolutely that. Like, this episode was a coming of age episode. Obviously, the conversation in the garden that they were having, when by they I mean Rhaenyra and Daemon, was one about them both maturing. He said, "You've matured a lot over the last 4 years," and she says, "You seem more mature than you were before." Obviously, he looked different. He had a different haircut and was presenting himself in a more distinguished manner. Right.
That boy still don't fuck with his wife.
Right.
We have
No,
not. We have,
where's
we
the
have
wife?
yet.
Like
we
she
have
needs
yet
to come
see
from the
Damon's
veil and
wife.
like,
We have yet to see Damon's wife. I don't think it happens.
yeah, yeah.
So
You notice that they're having these conversations in front of the Godwood tree. Like
Yes.
every time
mhm,
people have like they're staring at that tree, it's like the truth comes out.
right.
Like things unload or things unveil. And so like I like the connection of that because it goes back to the history that we know of.
Right. No, I definitely think that the fact that these conversations take place are significant. I also thought it was dope that when she kind of talked about her fears, like really opened up about her fears, about the fact that if she was a man, um, a lot of the things that are happening wouldn't happen. That they had that conversation in Valerian, or was it Targaryen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's Valerian.
Valyrian.
Yeah.
Valerian.
And so, she and Damon dropped a few dimes there as they were having that conversation, and so I thought that was the moment where you begin to see it taking place in Damon's mind, and he also saw that there was a rift between her and Viserys. Like he could see in the garden that all was not well,
He peeped
and
that real quick.
and so with Damon peeping those types of things, the fact that the clothes showed up in her in a locker with the little
Room.
map, right?
Right.
Like,
He's a
hey,
great enabler. That's what he is. Like,
right?
he's just the instigator, stirring the pot, like whatever
With
you
the,
got to do.
with the little map, hey, the shit was smooth. You know what I mean? I put this shit on, walk right here, push this right here, and it's a
Oh,
whole
and
secret
he
pathway.
made sure. I think we slipped this. He made sure to let Viserys know that Corlys went back to the house. He ain't coming back to King's Landing, dog.
Yeah,
I think all that shit that's Damon moving. That's Damon playing chess. His chess just a little bit different. He might be playing checkers and cheating or whatever. But shit, that nigga, he might be playing Uno, but that was a drop 4 out.
You know what though? He did a reverse card, okay, with the Crab King. That was a reverse card.
he did. He
And,
did.
yeah.
I look. Damon
Woo!
is far more calculated and far more intelligent. While reckless, he's still intelligent in
Very
how
much
he
so.
has the ability to move. Like he doesn't necessarily. He's not fond of strategy, but strategy doesn't escape him.
Right.
Right.
He has the ability to be strategic.
I think he likes to play that fool so nobody knows what his next move is gonna be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but at
You
the
don't
same
let
time, I
people
don't
know.
think we know his end game. Like,
She tells Damon during that time in the garden. She says, "My mother was made to produce heirs until it killed her." He said, "What happened to your mother was a tragedy, but you can't live in fear." And she says, "I don't choose to live in fear, but I do choose to live in solitude." He said, "That's a lonely prospect." And so I think that's interesting, just interesting banter that took place between them there. As as Arthur points out, but Corlys doesn't return to the kingdom, and instead goes to marry Rhaenyra to the son of the Lord in Bravos. Can you tell us a little bit about what the significance of that is and what we should get for as regards to that?
So when we talking Bravos, that's one of the, I think that's the largest city in the free cities. That's where the Iron Bank is. So basically, he is forming an alliance across the Narrow Sea, basically on the other side, which would enable him to now gain his resources from there, but also trade. Like I said, Corlys's whole thing is trade. That's why he was so pissed off about the stepstones. He couldn't bring his goods through the Narrow Sea, to King's Landing. That's a direct path. So his whole game is trade. That's what made him the most powerful house in Westeros. So with him forming that alliance, and now through his daughter with Bravos, well, now he's got that ability to keep his trade, keep his money going, while also really shutting out King's Landing if he chooses to do so. So again, I think Damon was very calculated in making sure he pointed that out. He knew exactly where that conversation would go.
So during the play, the players, excuse me, hit my motherfucking microphone over here. Uh, the players, you know, play out the play in which they're saying who's going to sit on the throne. Will it be Rhaenyra? Will it be Aegon? Will it be uh, Damon?
Damon.
And they say those things, and they, in the process of Rhaenyra witnessing this, the man says that Aegon has two things that Rhaenyra can never have, and that's a cock and a conqueror's name. And I think for Rhaenyra, that's another moment of her being reminded of the challenges that she's faced, the patriarchy, and the challenges that she's facing in attempting to sit on the throne. But obviously, it comes back to bite her in the form of literally as this is taking place, her experiencing something that if she was a young prince for real, being taken out on the town to do this, if the roles were reversed and a young prince was seen in a brothel doing anything, whether not only with his aunt or whomever, but with whomever he chose, there would be no controversy or
Nothing
whispers
to talk about.
traveling around
Right.
the kingdom. And so the whispers do begin to travel, and they travel in the form of Otto, as they always do. So can we talk a little bit
So
about that?
as she was watching the play and she's listening to the people and how they're feeling about the line of succession, this is a big slap of reality for her, because she's been, for lack of a better word, sequestered in the castle. She has been guarded. She has been protected. She ain't heard none of this. She's, protected from all of that. But she's seeing the real people. She's down here on her field trip in Flea Bottom with Damon, and they rolling through the gutter. She stole a sweet off of somebody's plate and they acted like she was running off and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then she ran into one of his gold cloaks, who was Harwin Strong, Lord Strong's oldest son. Okay. And Damon was right behind her, and he was like, "You lucky that you ran into me."
Right.
And and then he let her go, and then Damon comes around the corner and they go into the whole house. But that was her first big slap of reality, and how people really feel about the line of succession and how she falls into it. And she was like, "Oh, that's rude, boo, boo," and he was like, "Girl, come on, you about to get us caught." Yeah.
So what's go ahead.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, like, I think because this reality slapped her in her face, she's gonna have to make a decision on, if you're gonna be queen, you're gonna have to either rule by love or by fear. And so which one is it gonna be?
Yeah.
Because Cersei ruled by fear, but Daenerys at first ruled by love because the people loved her. Of course that flipped, but yeah, Ray needs to make a decision at this point.
Agreed. So we got Tyrion of the House Petty, Leslie McElmore in the building.
Speak
What's
on
going on, man? We're glad to have you back this week, man. I'm gonna let you jump right in because we know shit. You've been gone for a motherfucking week, so we glad to have you back in the building, man.
For sure, man. For sure. I appreciate y'all, man. My main takeaway from this episode, man, was Damon playing politics, and it was something that he was doing actually pretty good on until he fucked up, and Damon kind of bumbling around Westeros and in Flea Bottom. He sort of hit some points home to Rhaenyra, and I thought that stuck with her as far as like putting in a seed, right, of him saying, "Listen, this is how they feel about you.
Mm-hmm.
This is what's going to happen. If you rule over these people you may think that they are nothing, but they could be everything. They can be everything as far as like how you rule and the consequences of your actions. And you have somebody like me by my side, we already got this kind of connection going on. This sort of you know, but obviously this romantic connection wasn't that romantic for Damon, right? Because like I joked, he needed a gas station pill. You know, they got like they got everything at restaurants, right? They got Plan Bs, they got Percocet.
Oh yeah, they got it.
So so maybe they got one somewhere. But anyway, oh no, like it's the crabs. I forgot about that. It's the crabs. So but it fell flat though, and that's one of the things that Damon, for as brave and as much valor as he has, he's not really that good of a politician in his shows, or even just kind of this person who can connive his way through things like an Otto Hightower, right?
Yes.
He doesn't have, like he's not playing that many chess moves ahead, and so right. I thought all that was interesting, like in just the subtleness of him being discovered drunken and kind of hungover,
right.
brought to the, it's just like, I mean, like all of that is just like Damon in a nutshell. Hence the reason why he would never make a good king, for as brave as he is, for as strong as he is, for as strong-willed as he is. It takes more than that to be a good ruler and a judge. And Viserys actually grew a pair for one, and so, so all that combined, like I thought that there was a lot of great character development within this episode, even if not much action happened.
I'm gonna go through a few comments real quick. Barbara Plantain said Viserys shouldn't have remarried. End of story. To remarry, showed to backpedal on his decision. Camille Guy said, Damon said, I can show you some hoes. I can show you some hoes.
I shouldn't have took a
yes, Camille nudity. We need more.
Barbara Plantain said she must look like Medusa at this point. Gregory Rayner said,
made a comment. Can you pull that Celestial comment? I saw it.
Definitely, I'm gonna pull it up. I think it was a YouTube comment, so I gotta find it.
Yeah. I forgot what it said.
Gregory Rayner said Damon went from Steve Urkel to Stefan to get Rhaenyra hot in the bottom. That's real as shit. Hold on, let me see. Let me find that Celestial comment. While I'm looking for the Celestial comment, though, take me a little bit through the interaction between Viserys and Alicent. Both, and you can because again, that's the other dynamic at play here, right? Like Viserys is laying in the bathtub, 2 fingers missing at this point,
right?
Damn near dead. As I guess the royal bathers are standing around him, and she sends everybody out the room, and they have a conversation.
The royal penis is clean,
right? So take me through that, and I want y'all to kind of talk to me about that while I pull up Celestial's comment. Where the hell is Celestial comment at?
So I think Alicent is starting to understand her place, like I said, in this whirlwind, and she's trying to play the dutiful wife. And so, she tells him, just go ahead and leave. I'm gonna watch my husband. And he's, you have such a gentle hand, and he's trying to talk sweet to her, and then having a little back and forth. But it's still kind of stunted or stiff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
very much so.
I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And not the same as when he was talking to Aemma in the bathtub.
There you go. There you go.
Giving birth. That was some love. That was all about them being together. But this was.
It's just not organic. There's nothing organic within their relationship.
Yeah.
Like it was arranged, and it feels arranged, and it's almost like they both kind of at the same time starting to realize they was played by the same person, which is weird that they both realizing it at this point. It seemed rather obvious, at least to the audience, but it's like they're both just realizing like this motherfucker audio. Oh, they played us.
Like, I mean, bro, like this is what happens when this shit was built off a fucking Lego set, right? Like,
right.
I mean, you know, like you ain't got too much where to go other than like fucking talk about your passion for like history and you know, and great conquerors of the past. Once you get past that, there's no real romantic connection, and it never was. And Allison already knew about Otto's game. It's for Viserys to take this long to see that shit.
Right.
It baffles me. It baffles me how someone can be that. I mean, like he's just missing a few things, like little things here and there for him to be.
His curl, it never really.
Yeah, like,
no, but
almost gets it.
Jerry curl never really.
Right.
Right.
You know.
So it took him 4 years and 2 kids in to realize that you was being played.
Right. Like Otto is really a sucker MC. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah.
So what Celestial said, y'all, was I thought Viserys was gonna pull a T.I. and have the Doc check right there.
That's exactly
But that little gift from the Maester was petty. And not a little gift. She talking about the abortion tea. Can we say that?
Moon tea.
Can we say that?
That's that money.
The moon tea.
He said, drink this real quick. Like, you know what I mean? Drink this real quick.
That's that king. So, that's that King's Landing Plan B on there.
Hey, look.
Yeah,
look,
but you know what though? I have to give him mad respect because when he was finding out about this information, he was denying it to Otto, but he was defending her as well. Right. And then he was being realistic on the whole situation. So it was like, and he even said it too. The truth didn't matter. It's about perception.
Yeah.
And you're not looking good at this point.
And she said, perception wouldn't matter if I was a boy. And he said, you're not one. That's pretty much how that went down. But I definitely thought it was dope to see him defend her, you know, in the face of Otto. But whole time he like, man, we Targaryens, we get the fuck down. You know what I'm saying? I know how we get down because I'm one of them. You know, is the way he proceeded. And I kept on thinking like, damn, I was kind of concerned about the whole they were gonna check, you know, her for her maidenhood as well. And I was like, well, if they do, you know, the problem is gonna be technically it's gone, but it's not gone through the deception that, you know, Daemon has presented. So I was thinking that was a road that potentially we might wind up going down, but I'm glad that they didn't as well, Celestial. I'm glad they didn't go down that road.
But even so, you see it was still a ploy from Daemon because when Viserys confronted him, he didn't deny it. You know, he never flat out denied to Viserys, oh, we ain't do shit. Well, I ain't do nothing. Right. He basically used that to his advantage, if you will, to try to position himself to marry Rhaenyra. Like, look, ain't nobody else gonna want her. You know, you might as well give her to me. Let us marry in the ways of our house. You know, he even contested, you know, Viserys always brings up the wife that he has back at the Vale, and Daemon is still contending. And look, I don't want her.
I don't know that bitch.
Furthermore, Aegon had that second wife. So man, let's get to it.
So what do y'all think about the solution that Viserys ultimately came around to of her marrying Corlys's son?
I think we kind of, a lot of people spoke on that. I think we saw a lot of comments even after like episode 1. I think maybe episode 2 as well, that she would be wed to Laenor. So I think that was kind of obvious. It was just a matter of time on that one.
Yeah.
And stay tuned for that, by the way. That's going to be a doozy. I mean, that's an interesting dynamic between those. Yeah.
Because he don't look like he did shit, so there might be some like little
Very
battle.
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you got 2 dragon riders in the house, and they
some dragon riders, all right.
So it's gonna be quite interesting, you know. So we definitely will be paying. And Natalia Tyndall, oh wow, this shit look. Y'all read it. Natalia Tyndall said that's that fetus deleters tea.
Terminology.
Look, That's 10 motherfucking points right there.
Goddamn Hogwarts. Hogwarts.
Yo, listen,
Ocean.
these motherfucking comments be tickling me.
Man, we get new terminology every week, dog. I've been saying fingering and lingering since last week.
Playing BT from Walgreens of Westeros.
But it worked because Cersei was pregnant with
she was
Robert's
always
kid,
on that moon tea.
and she got on that and made sure that she kept Jamie's kids.
Yeah,
Right. So, listen, I mean, it's definitely some. This was a wild episode, man. I think about I go back to the Alicent and Viserys love scene, I guess if you want to call it that. And
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So have y'all looked around Alicent's room good? And I looked at it last week when her father went in there to talk to her about something. The tapestries that are up on the wall, the big tapestries that are over the fireplace and around her wall, are those instructional?
What?
Because if you look at them, go look at her tapestries. I'm like, that's nasty.
Really?
Because it shows.
Teaching her how to get down?
That's what I'm asking. Are they instructional?
On the floor.
Are they?
You know what I'm saying?
Are they supposed to put the thought in her head so she will request to go to the king instead of him sending the maid like he did? The king requests your company, and
she said it's getting late. She said it's late.
And you know what
she was like, this motherfucker again.
Right. She said it's late. She said, I know. But look, when she said that, I perceived that as it's late in his life now. It's almost this shit almost over. You know what I mean? Literally.
Boys, shit. Leave me alone. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That motherfucker was, I'm talking about because that motherfucker was giving that missionary with the whole grayscale back. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
is my stuff gonna turn into grayscale? Because I'm like, you between my legs. What? I don't know.
He was giving them Crown King thrusts.
I'm like, listen, if Anna Nicole Smith can get through it, she'll be fine.
Oh. Missy says the Viserys,
like we fucking acting like this shit don't happen all the
right.
time.
Right.
I mean,
Missy said does Viserys eggplant emoji look like his fingers and back? I know Allison's sick.
That thing is decrepit.
Listen, man.
Listen, like if these girls can go on vacation to the Maldives, taking pictures by themselves, she'll be fine.
But I kind of, like I said, I almost felt weird that we were watching the dad and the daughter smashing at the same time.
Yes.
Like it's just like,
the daughter, uncle, and that was
yes. I literally wrote that shit down. I said this shit got me mad uncomfortable. I said these scenes made me hella uncomfortable. And I guess it's because in our minds, like when we started watching the show, I guess it was implied to us that this was a 14 or 15-year-old girl. And I know they kind of done the time jump where it's 4 years later from where we first introduced to them. But still, she still looked the same,
Yeah, like she still looks young. Like she got a
right.
baby. I mean, all that shit. Like I just feel like she still looks. Yeah, you're right. She's still young. It was a little jarring. Like all of a sudden she turned into a city girl after one night at Flea Bottom.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Hold on.
Flea Bottom will do that to you though.
Right. Hey, shit. And like, listen, Flea Bottom is number Bourbon Street.
Right.
Man. Oh my
God.
Literally.
Big Bourbon Street energy.
Right.
So I think, after this, obviously there's this big conversation that takes place between Rhaenyra and her father Viserys about what to do now. After Viserys has Daemon dragged into the chamber and puts the knife to his throat and tell him, I really should do your ass in for the shit you just did to me.
Right.
Sullied my daughter.
Right. You sullied my daughter. When they come back together and they're having their conversation in this room, what's going through y'all's mind at this point, and what do you feel about what was proposed? And go through what was proposed as a solution or a resolution.
We talking that conversation with Viserys and Rhaenyra.
Exactly right.
Yeah, so I think for him it was a way to kill two birds with one stone. It was a way to let me use this to make amends for my mistake with Corliss. But then also I can kind of try to whatever rumors are about to be started from this shit with Daemon and my daughter. I can use this shit to kind of try to eradicate that as well. So all in one fell swoop. That's his chess move to try to eliminate two problems.
Also, I could see, you know what, like Viserys won this episode to me because he not only was in a position of strength, like the entire episode, but he also doubled down on Rhaenyra being the heir to the throne.
Absolutely.
And this was all done for her to make sure that she kept her position, right? Yeah. And every move that he made was to make sure that her position was still strong. And and so when we see, like, for example, the next episode, we're basically going to see him on his deathbed, and that's when the vultures come out. It's going to be interesting to see how Rhaenyra kind of views her father, especially after this, with the whole Plan B thing, but also just with him. I hope that she's able to realize that he's doubling and tripling down on her being the heir and the rightful heir, right? So like Viserys, man, he won the episode. Finally, he won an episode.
Yeah.
They got grayscale and fucking rotten fingers and shit, but
right. I think he giving less of a fuck the closer and closer he get to death. Like, it's like, what? Closer you hurdle towards that motherfucker, the less you start being concerned with the shit you used to be concerned with. Like,
that goddamn throne is tearing his ass up.
I'm talking about every goddamn episode, man.
That throne tearing his ass up.
The throne is the real villain, man, and it's like the whole shit.
They say it's an omen, though. They say it's a bad omen. If you cut upon that throne, like, it's rejecting you.
Yes, right. Like the Mad King got cut multiple times.
Man, that throne is rejecting him right now.
I mean, you can see it when he was trying to kill that stag. Like, he had to kill it multiple times. Yeah. Like, that was like almost like a sign of like your time of reign is almost over.
And people noticed that. And people noticed that who were viewing that. And I mean, man, like this show is full of vultures, and they're just like circling. It's getting more and more. You can tell that, like, because even Otto is going to try to stick around.
Speaking of vultures,
yeah. That nigga.
Yeah, speaking of vultures, like Rhaenyra was like, go hold on. Rhaenyra was like, okay, look, we'll do your deal. You got me. I done fucked up. I know I done fucked up.
Right.
You figured me out, but with that being said, you got to get rid of this motherfucker Otto, because I can't be around. I got to watch my body. I got to watch myself, because I'm not just anybody. You know what I'm saying? She hit him with the Aaliyah real quick. You know what I'm saying? Like, if this nigga gonna be around here telling on me, then I ain't gonna be able to do what I need to do. So you got to get rid of him in order for me to be able to do what it is you want me to do.
Yeah,
I thought it was pretty dope for him to reveal the secret song of ice and fire that was in the dagger.
Yeah,
to her. Like when he got her in the room and showed it to her and said, "Look, even though it was the poem or the song was about the prince that was promised, I do think he wanted her to read that also for that purpose too, to remind her, like, motherfuckers don't want you to have this shit."
Yeah.
Even the song on the dagger is about a boy that was promised. But I've put you in the position. I've named you my heir. What are you gonna do with it? And she's like, "Look, I'm ready to run with it if you willing to do this one thing for me, because this motherfucking self-serving cat, I can't trust him. I won't trust him. So you need to get rid of him now."
I love that conversation, man. With are we moving forward? Because that conversation with Viserys and Otto, man, I love how he brought it to him. The first thing he say is like, 5 days. And Otto like, "What the fuck you talking about, man? 5 days? Like, I've been here all day." And break down,
that was a
5 days, and then all of a sudden, you know, he gets deathly ill, and magically, poof, you're you know, Jaharis names you hand of the king. Like, so it's almost like Leslie said, like it took all these years and babies for him to figure out Otto been playing him with his daughter, but I think he started thinking even further back than that to like, man, how did you even become fucking hand of the king? Because like, dog, you wasn't shit.
Right. And he's been positioning himself ever since.
Exactly.
And,
Right.
and remember last week when before they went out on the hunt, Otto's brother, who is the head of the house, was telling him, you need to make sure that Aegon is the named heir. You need to go ahead and make that happen.
Right.
So while we think that Otto is the bully, he's not. It's like a chain reaction. So the brother, who is the head of House Hightower,
right,
has probably pushed him to be seen and got him so that he was the hand of the king. You know, we maybe Lord Hightower, who's the head of the house, is like Olenna Tyrell and gave who is it, Balon, the poison that made his stomach burst.
Yeah.
And so that's why he was dead in 5 days.
Yeah.
You know, and that put Otto in view.
Yeah.
And that's how he got there. And then Otto has continued to try to bully Alicent, and she's trying to get off of me, Daddy. I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm being a good wife. I'm providing children. Get away. You know, so she's trying to exert herself, her spirit in that way. And so when she ran to Rhaenyra and told her, I just heard this because my daddy was talking to the king and this is what's going on. So you need to be aware of this and you need to, you know, tighten up, sister.
Yeah.
You know.
T.L. Thompson brings up a good point about that. That goes back to what I was saying about the prince that was promised. She said, don't forget that the word prince is gender neutral in High Valyrian.
It is.
Correct.
That's a really good point. Good point.
But going back to Otto real quick, you know, like for as much shit as we all give Otto, he kind of has a little bit of Tywin Lannister in him. And for as bad as Tywin ultimately was, I admired some of his qualities. And that's kind of the same thing with Otto, because Otto was right in this instance, right about Daemon and Rhaenyra hooking up. You know, he was right about Daemon not being suited to be rightful heir, right? He is putting his family in a position of upward mobility by pitting or putting Alicent in that position with the king, but also after they had the child. I mean, it is true that if there is a son heir hanging around, that does it is a rival to Rhaenyra's crown, right?
At all times.
She would, I mean, so ultimately, you know, you got to think about even in reality in medieval days, and you know, like how like siblings would, I mean, like, you know, quote unquote, all of a sudden a sibling winds up dead somewhere because that other got him killed, right? Because that's their main rival. And so when Rhaenyra has one misstep, just like the common people showed us, they're going to be looking for that male heir to step up to be the king, right? And so that kind of conflict, I feel like, is real. And Otto is right in pointing all that out. And he is smart and he is calculated, and I get all that, but he's just, you know, like, it's almost like ambition just became like too much of a driver for him, or this, like, you know, or just clear ambition, right? And if he would have played his cards right, he would have actually, like, you know, like, just maybe said, you know what, I'm gonna keep that one close to the vest there, you know, like maybe not tell the king, but ultimately, you know, like that led to his downfall. But I'm telling you, there's going to be an Otto was right YouTube video. Pop up on y'all algorithms.
I'm pulling up a few of the YouTube comments right now. Joan says, "Are we sure Viserys sent the Maester with the Moon Tea? The High Towers have a special relationship with the Maesters."
Yeah,
that's a good.
I think it was Viserys just because at the point when we see that on the show, he had already gave Otto the business and told him to take his punk ass back to Old Town. That's just my thing, though.
Fifi Vanessa says Rhaenyra just proved that she can be a good leader. She sees all the bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rhaenyra definitely can be a good leader. Rhaenyra is being held to a standard that a male prince or a prince or a man.
I think in each episode, Rhaenyra has either said or done something to show like immaculate qualities of her leadership.
Right.
More so than everybody on the show. She has said or done at least one thing to just be like, I really got this shit on lock more than all y'all have.
Right. And I mean, shit, the White Stag told us, like, look,
facts.
You know, put your finger in the air because you the one, girl. You know, so to quote the great CeeLo Green.
But it's funny because I think that Viserys, he named her heir for a reason.
Yeah.
And she was kind of all over the place in the terms of like what she wanted. Because at the other episodes, what she wanted was more freedom than to rule, right? It was always like, I want to rule, but I also want my freedom. I want my solitude. And that's why, like, I felt that when he got married, their relationship went apart. But in the last episode, the fact that he says, you're going to marry, but I give you the choice.
Yeah.
But then she kind of threw that in his face a little bit and, it said, fuck your tour. And, I'm doing this dating bullshit. And then, but then now he's like, nah, this is it. This is who you're marrying. Fuck all that.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, there's a prophecy, and that's the true source of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was like, I'm back on my daddy shit. Fuck that. Look, T.L. Thompson says Damon's whore, who I will call Mysteria, pulled a Shay tonight though. Did we catch that? She really did.
Yeah.
She really. She
gave up the low. She gave up the low.
No, she fucking sounds like Shay too. They must be from the same
right.
Yeah.
and she got some coin for that shit.
Right.
Right. She said, he said, am I your prisoner?
Bought the coins back.
Right. Am I your prisoner? She said, as I once was yours. He says, I don't need protection from a common whore. She said, I'm not so common. Like she was not with the shit tonight. And
CJ, she pulled that Aaliyah too. I'm not just anybody.
Oh, exactly. I'm not just anybody. So I was feeling that, man. I was getting Melisandre vibes, man.
Yeah.
Do we know who the White Worm is?
We do not.
The Otto said he got word from the White Worm. Like, who is that?
I assume it's a place. When I heard it, I assumed it was a place and not a person, but I don't know.
Yeah, that sounded like whatever Flea Bottom is.
Yeah.
Or whatever, whatever section of
or like the back alley that they were in, because the thing about it is Daemon is known like in the back alleys and the brothels and the gambling dens. Like Daemon is known in all of these places, so I think that too was part of his whole ploy in like seducing and exploiting Rhaenyra, because he knew he had power there. Like, okay, yeah, if she running off, I'm gonna just walk after her, because even if she bump into somebody, it's gonna be one of my men. So. Like, I think he knew exactly what he was doing with all of that shit. So I just assumed when I heard that White Worm was a place and not a person. But with this shit, you never know.
Can we have some child labor laws? Because I'm tired of these children being spies everywhere.
The street children.
Like, someone needs to protect these children.
Yeah, putting these children in direct danger. Endangered children.
Right.
But that's the point. Ain't nobody paying attention below their waist. Unless they in the whole house,
right?
And so the children are sitting on the ground and they hearing everything, and they're like, well, let me
like,
go tell somebody so I can get me some candy.
Get your little badass out of here.
Well, it ain't like they got to go to school.
I was about to say Flea Bottom, boy. That's the shit. They definitely ain't going to school down there.
That shit was fucked out.
You said, what if the White Worm was the name of the brothel itself? I mean,
that's what I'm thinking. Like maybe that was like the pleasure house that they were in. You know,
or
something along those lines.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah, like it's one of them. Yeah.
That could very well be the case. So I mean, I guess we kind of come to where I guess we want to really just get a sense of what do you what did you all take away from this episode? I know obviously I'm gonna say you for last, Leslie, on that part.
Okay.
But if you could just Natalia, kind of give me a sense of what you took from episode 4, what you're looking forward to uh next week.
I'm looking for a wedding because shit goes down in every freaking wedding that happens. But I will say this: there are certain words that came up that are still like in my head for this week, and so it was like restless and chaotic, a calculated distraction, and a discomforting truth.
Mm.
I like
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So foreshadowing for sure
Mm-hmm.
is what you
Very much.
what you see. And now I'm gonna kick it over to the warrior queen so you can let us know, what you're looking forward to and what you felt.
Uh, just like I said at the beginning, that damn Damon, he's up here playing political chess. He's moving things around the board to make other pieces move around the board. So, he'll push it this way. And, so he pushed Rhaenyra to a new edge, okay, to a new level. Um, he pushed his brother to a new level, and his brother put the knife to his throat. Okay. In pushing his brother, he put his brother Viserys pushed Otto out. Okay. So Damon is the catalyst. These pieces are moving around the board. Next week when we get, I don't know what it's called. I'm gonna call it the Dragon Wedding because we got 2 dragon riders. Yeah. So we got an Otto on the outs. Yeah, that's a bad place. That's like a Targaryen alone in the world. Otto on the outs. Yeah, he gonna do something. He gonna pull some bull. And I don't know what it's gonna be, but he gonna pull some bull because he mad. He big mad. Otto's gonna be big mad.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't want to
So
see Otto when he's angry.
no, I'm thinking not.
He about to be with the shits.
I appreciate the ladies
so-
coming through with the comments.
Yeah, for sure. I was gonna shout out Nikki. A few people
Okay,
wrote.
so yeah,
Nikki
okay.
Norwood said the white worm is Mysteria,
I appreciate
and
that.
Damon's
Oh,
prostitute and lover.
That makes
And-
sense. That makes sense. We have word from the white worm. That makes sense.
Right. And Natalia said Mysteria is the white worm. And I think one person said Barbara said, yes, that same boy, she paid
Yeah.
him. So Mysteria
Yeah.
must like in the background while we were paying, like
He had
paid,
something going on with that shit.
yeah, paid the little boy for, taking the message where it needed to go. Which would make sense because it's like, which would also mean she probably was the one that told Otto about Damon saying that shit about Balon back in the day. Low key.
Probably.
Potentially she could have been the same one,
Mm-hmm.
Damon, perhaps Otto put her close to him in the first place.
And she needed a benefactor. I mean, her money needs to come from somewhere.
For sure. So Leslie, your takeaways from this week and what you anticipating moving forward.
My takeaways is that everybody's politics, and I really like this aspect about it. Like we've already kind of that. My moving forward observation is the relationship between Allison and Air. It kind of repaired itself a little bit in this episode. I don't know how genuine that actual repair was, and it like, it seemed like they've been trying to repair a little bit, and they've been trying to be on good terms. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, especially after Viserys dies, or when he's on his deathbed, and how Otto, who is still going to be here, is going to manipulate Alice to look at Rhaenyra in a different light, because she still views Rhaenyra as this sort of as the rightful heir, this person who had even Allison's best interest at heart, that she's, and that she's a genuine friend. And Otto still has a lot to do in this series, and he's not going anywhere. He's going to be in Allison's ear. And when that happens, he finally, well, we'll see. But anyway, when it is in Allison's ear, and whether or not that works or not is going to be interesting to see that dynamic play out between that relationship between.
Yeah.
No, and it's kind of go back to the first episode where Viserys says words can't rule the Iron Throne, or words can't rule the Seven Kingdoms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When in reality, we're about to see motherfucker really ain't got to be
like
at King's Landing, and motherfucker ain't got to be at King. A motherfucker is a raven away sometimes.
as long as he or she is in the proximity of power, then they can wield it however they see fit if they have the right. Yep.
And before we wrap up tonight, I'm definitely gonna take a couple questions from the audience, because we got some dope little stuff, and I definitely want y'all to be able to jump into those before we leave, so we can interact with the audience a little bit more. My takeaway from this episode is essentially Viserys is on his deathbed. Clearly, it's close. Episode 5 should be probably the last one. It is everything but the Dracarys for him at this point. You know what I mean? That's really what I believe. I do believe that shit is beginning to hit the fan.
Yeah.
I don't know what the dynamic between Daemon and Rhaenyra will be. I do think that at the very least there'll be some level of respect between, I don't know if Daemon has that within him, but he does respect Corlys, it seems. And so he wouldn't just be totally full throttle at the idea of attacking both Corlys and his son in the event that they align with Rhaenyra through marriage. I think that we're beginning to see the calculating take place. I think Tyrus would have been happy with Otto being called out for what was not really that slick of moves. Tyrus has been so upset with the idea of Otto being the great value Littlefinger for so long that finally, he's been called out on it. Otto's been called out on his shit and on his self-serving ways far more quickly than Littlefinger ever was. So I think that would be something that would make him happy. But as Liz said, he ain't going no motherfucking way no time.
He gonna be around, still pulling the strings and still playing puppet master. But I think, and I will say this for TK, y'all know we didn't see not one goddamn dragon this episode. So I think we see from the preview, it looked like, and I think I said this after episode 1 or 2, but I think we get another dragon. I think we get a dragon that we haven't seen before. Possibly the rider as well, but the preview looked like a different colored dragon. It didn't look like Cyrax to me.
Okay.
Flying alongside Sea Smoke. So I think we get another dragon that we haven't yet seen in this next episode. Now you also see in that preview, you see Daemon back at the Vale. Finally, like you can kind of see the background of what looks like Daemon is at the Vale. So I'm interested to see. Are we finally gonna see Daemon's wife that he doesn't want to be with? What direction are we going with Daemon now that he's back at the Vale? Or are we gonna see him there for an entire episode? Is he gonna move around like Daemon tends to do? I agree with all of you. I think Viserys' run is done. Again, you kind of hear some of that from Otto in the preview where he already kind of making his moves and playing the vulture. So I'm interested to see where we kind of end up from here, though.
You know what? I was just thinking about, this is episode 5 coming up, right? Shit goes down. People we love die in episode 5s.
They go bye-bye.
Yeah.
It starts getting
Don't wait. Red wedding on episode 5. What was episode 5? What's
it's
The
definitely
Red Wedding, that was like
Red Wedding.
that started in episode 5, like all of them.
Okay.
so shit definitely gets real, and it definitely looked like it was about to pop off at the party. So in the previews, it looked like the party was gonna be jumping like a motherfucker.
Get lit.
You know,
So we'll see how it go down.
like a little, you know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna pull up some of the comments. Happy Grand's Garden said, "Why do you think Damon couldn't quote go there with Rhaenyra?"
I think he could. I think it was calculated that he didn't. I think he did everything that he did, again, knowing that somebody would see and run back and tell somebody. So again, that was his move to basically say, okay, well, she's defiled now. Give her to me. Ain't nobody else gonna want her.
To be honest with you, he may have been working with old girl. Now that we established that old girl is the white worm,
Yeah.
he may have said, "Look, yeah, this is what I'm about to do, and when I do it, you make sure that shit get back to who it needs to."
So yeah, so that could be it. But I also think that the other theory that I think of is that they were showing both scenes simultaneously, right? There was one person, Allison, who was in bed with this person for political motives, and she didn't want to be there. And Damon was about to sleep with Rhaenyra for political purposes, but ultimately he didn't want to be there as far as his own role, right? So so it's just and that's the reason why he couldn't get up, and that's what I personally think. I think that he's playing this political game and this chess game, and him hooking up with Rhaenyra, even if there are some feelings there, which we saw back in episode 1. It's I mean, what he was doing there was solely political. And so, I guess in his heart of hearts, it's almost like when he couldn't get up back in the shit. Man, he really needs a damn crab, man. But back when he could,
some of them gas station people.
It was, it was a lot on his mind. And so I feel like that this, whatever kind of little shit haunts him when he's about to have sex, because that's all Damon knows is violence is sex. And when he can't resolve his issues with one of those two things, and then he's just like, I'm out. I'm done. Right? I'm done. I can't, I don't know what the fuck to do.
I can't fight and I can't fuck.
Exactly. What's my purpose? Right?
Listen, T.L. Thompson said, so does Lionel Strong know Prince Lenore is Lil Murder? Crooked letter. Hey, listen.
That ain't gonna be murder night.
Hey, listen. I know we going off on a tangent. Lil Murder is one of my favorite characters in the history of TV, man. He played the shit out of that part, man.
That's a good question, though.
Shout out to Greensboro, North Carolina. That's where I am. Dudley High School. That's where I went to.
But that's a good question, though. I'm gonna let Carter get into that because we ain't gonna spoil nothing, but
But that's a good question. I think there's already kind of been some talk of it, but I think they're gonna get into that in a lot more detail, obviously. But does Lionel Strong know? I don't know. That's a good point, especially at this point in time, because there is talk of Lenore and the company he keeps. So that's but a lot of the time they don't care about that shit.
That's what I was just about to say.
Just like in Game of Thrones, they didn't care about Sir Lower Strong. They didn't give a shit. They knew he was what did even Olenna Tyrell, she called him a sword swallower. Like his own grandmama was calling him a sword swallower, and she was still ready to marry him off to Cersei for political games.
Shout out to Lady Olenna Tyrell, one of my favorite characters in the history of the Game of Thrones.
Olenna was a G.
She was the OG.
Really good. But I mean, I think it goes back to the lessons that we learned. I mean, sometimes in Games of Thrones, when certain characters say certain things, you can literally write it down as a rule of the Game of Thrones, or you can write it down as a lesson to apply to next week. So the lesson this week is we can fuck who we want. Marriage is political. And
literally,
if marriage is political, then you can marry a man who don't like you, but who like what you like, and you can do what you want to for your thrills,
Yeah.
but you do what you need to for your kingdom.
Exactly. Fuck love. Love's overrated.
so I think that's the lesson to take away from this week's episode. And I mean, like it's compounding each week. Like we're learning different things each week. So before we get up out of here, is there anything that y'all want to let the audience know to be on the lookout for, or anything y'all want to say?
New dragon next week, y'all. New dragon.
New dragons next week. I want to thank our guests this week. They family, but they our guests. F the patriarchy. Natalia, thank you for being here. Warrior
Man, they
Queen,
came with it too. Y'all came with it.
thank you for pulling up on the set. Y'all did a wonderful job as always. To the audience, y'all are always fucking cold too. Like, I mean, I hope all of y'all, I hope everybody that's in the comments at some point is on this fucking screen with
Man,
us.
pull up, please. Some
Right,
of y'all
please.
comments, we need like live and direct on here as we doing this shit.
Literally, ways you can follow Black Widow Chaser. You can follow us at Black Widow Chaser on IG. You can follow us at B Black No Chaser on Twitter. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel at Black Widow Chaser TV. We hope that you connect with us on all of those things, and we're on Facebook, of course, at Black Widow Chaser as well. We want y'all to connect with us. We want y'all to be a part of this show. We love your comments. We love interacting with y'all. We love growing this platform with y'all. So before we go, I'm gonna open up the stage, open up the floor for any last remarks as we roll on our way out. Natalia, anything?
I'm still on that fire pussy. Like, feed the dragon. Feed the dragon.
I feel that. Feed the dragon. Hey, listen, that's a lesson learned. Warrior Queen, talk to us.
The way things are going, I'm gonna be in the comments next week because I'm gonna be sitting here in my den having a tsunami-sized nerdgasm. Okay, because it's gonna jump off on 5 instead of 9. So, if you want me to slide through, I'll slide through. But otherwise, I'll just be in the comments, sitting here with my baked pen, try to keep my nerves calm.
Love it. Love it.
All right.
Carlton, talk to us,
In the
man.
words of TK, bring them fucking dragons on.
Dragons coming.
Yeah, the dragons. They're gonna die off at some point, dude. I don't know if it's the season.
Dragons coming on D-Way. And the tall Tyrion of house, Petty. Talk to us, brother.
And speaking of Petty, man, check out my takeaways. I drop
Can't wait.
right before I jump on here. Like I be having to edit that shit because these goddamn names be kicking my ass. Woo, boy, y'all ain't spell checked. Y'all got to spell some of these damn names.
What was the word that you spelled wrong last week? But you spelled all the goddamn names right. All the Targaryen names.
It was fucking bored. I fucked up bored. I spelled the other way bored. Fucking like God.
They should have let you make it on that one.
Take it on that. I was like, damn, I'm sitting over here spelling Viserys and Rhaenyra.
Nigga, I think you even threw a couple of Harrises in that motherfucker.
Right, I do.
Right. They're like, nigga, you spelled boar wrong, nigga. The fuck wrong with you?
Boar kicking your ass. Like
that nigga spelled Correxes right. Nigga, I have spelled Corexes 13 different goddamn ways in my notes.
Man, listen. I can spell that shit out and still be like, hold on, let me Google it real quick before I type it.
Spelling Daenerys, bro. Y'all check that out, man. Also, I want the little buddy who was on the first scene. I want him at the wedding too.
Blackwood, yeah.
Hell yeah, Brandon.
Yeah.
He was giving
about that life.
He was giving little lady more energy type energy. You know what I'm saying? Like he with the shits.
Yes.
He was about that
life. He with the shits, and I love it. The last thing I'll say, man, is look, Tyrus will be back next week hosting this shit. I hope we held it down in his absence, man. It was a lot of fun this week, as it always is. Like y'all have no idea. I be looking forward to Sundays, man. I used
But
to
it's
look forward
right
to
here.
Sundays for football. I ain't even watched the motherfucking football game tonight. Fuck football.
I ain't watching either, and I'm a fucking Cowboy.
I was watching them goddamn Thrones,
Man.
and it was because of the community that we have built around it, man. Y'all are so much fun
Facts.
to be around. Like, it's fun to do this show with y'all. Like, y'all have no idea how much we be texting each other throughout the week with ideas and
Yeah.
just jokes and just really building, you know, the momentum for this. But it's fun also to do this with this audience. Like, you know, TL Thompson, Barbara, Nikki, so many Kendra, George, Kimberly, all of y'all that, you know, really bring y'all own element to what we do. Joan on YouTube. And so it's a lot of fucking fun to do this with y'all. And we're gonna keep growing it. Like, we're gonna keep growing it and growing it. We see the type of momentum that's being built around what we're doing, and we know that there's an importance to having voices like ours, faces like ours, speaking on things like this, just because it's not always seen, you know. And we see the dialogue and commentary that's taking place around things like, you know, the Lord of the Rings show,
Lord of the
that's
Rings.
the Fellowship of the Rings, or is it, or
Rings of Power.
the show,
Rings of
right?
Power.
The Rings of Power. Thank you.
The Rings of
On
Power.
Amazon, and we see the dialogue that takes place around Game of Thrones, even also. And so, you know, we're not trying to force ourselves into this space, but we are making space for ourselves in this space. And I think we do, like, and when I say we, I'm talking about the community, the audience, all of us collectively have really built something dope together.
Yeah.
And you know, our hope is to continue to do that with y'all, continue to grow with you, you know, and continue to, you know, experience this beauty together. Let's nerd the fuck out. Always, like, let your flag fly like Damon on the motherfucking beach. You know what I'm saying? And you know, until then, you know, we'll be getting it in, and right back next week, same time.
See y'all next week.
Love y'all. Think
Next
black,
week.
live black
Yeah.
unapologetically. Thank you to the guests. Thank you to the audience. Peace out.
Thank you.